In the heart of downtown, on a crowded street corner, there stood a small makeshift art stand. It wasn't much, just a folding table, some weathered canvas pieces, and a young girl with a determined look in her eyes. Her name was Emily Carter, and she was 22 years old. Her story was one that tugged at the heartstrings of everyone who heard it. Emily had been an aspiring artist since she was a little girl. She spent her days painting, drawing, and sketching, with dreams of one day having her artwork displayed in galleries across the world. But life, as it often does, threw a wrench in her plans. 6 months ago, Emily had been diagnosed with leukemia, a type of blood cancer that was aggressive and unforgiving. Her world turned upside down in an instant. The chemotherapy treatments drained her physically, emotionally, and financially. Medical bills piled up, and Emily was forced to take a step back from her artistic aspirations. But Emily wasn't one to sit idly by and let life dictate her future. She had a plan, an unconventional one perhaps, but a plan nonetheless. To cover the mounting medical expenses, Emily decided to sell her artwork. It was a last-ditch effort to raise the funds she needed for her ongoing treatments. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she was determined. For weeks, she set up her stand, hoping for passers-by to stop and take a look at her paintings. Some people admired her work, but the reality was that very few were willing to part with their money. Her canvas pieces were beautiful, bold emotional expressions of her journey, her pain, and her hope, but they were just too expensive for most to buy. Every sale felt like a victory, but there weren't enough victories to cover the growing mountain of medical bills. One crisp autumn afternoon, as Emily was sitting behind her table, feeling the weight of her situation, something unexpected happened. A man in a sharp suit walked by, his face obscured by a pair of sunglasses. He didn't stop at her booth like the others. Instead, he paused for just a moment, glanced at one of her paintings, and then kept walking. But something in his stride caught Emily's attention. She had seen that man before, on TV, in the news, everywhere. It was J.D. Vance. The name alone sent a ripple of recognition through the crowd. J.D. Vance was a name many knew, an author, a businessman, and a rising political figure. His book, Hillbilly Elegy, had captured the attention of millions, and now, as a prominent figure in the political world, he was well known across the country. Emily's heart skipped a beat. Could it really be him? J.D. Vance, the man who had written about the struggles of working-class America, had just walked past her booth. He had barely given her art a second glance, but something about the moment felt different. As J.D. Vance continued down the street, Emily couldn't help but feel a sense of urgency. She was used to rejection, but this felt like an opportunity, one she couldn't afford to let slip away. Summoning every ounce of courage she had, Emily stood up and called out to him. "Excuse me, Mr. Vance, wait!" she shouted, her voice trembling. To her surprise, J.D. Vance stopped and turned around. He removed his sunglasses, his gaze landing on her with a mixture of curiosity and slight confusion. "Yes?" he asked, his tone polite but reserved. Emily took a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves. "I know you probably get stopped a lot," she said, "but I'm trying to raise money for my chemotherapy treatment. I sell my art to help cover the costs, and I was wondering if you might be interested in purchasing one of my paintings." J.D. Vance paused for a moment, his eyes scanning the artwork on the table. There was a long silence. Emily couldn't tell what he was thinking. Was he judging her, dismissing her, or was he truly considering her request? Then something remarkable happened. J.D. Vance stepped forward, his gaze locking onto a vibrant painting of a stormy sky, the dark clouds swirling above a lone figure standing resolutely in the rain. It was one of Emily's more personal pieces, a reflection of her own battles with illness. "This one," he said, pointing to the painting. Emily's heart raced. That's my favorite piece," she said, almost in disbelief. Vance nodded. I can see why. It's powerful. How much are you asking for it? Emily told him the price, which was much more than she had ever charged anyone before. But to her surprise, J.D. Vance didn't hesitate. He pulled out his wallet and handed her the exact amount she requested. I'll take it, he said, his voice firm yet compassionate. Emily stood there, stunned. You're really buying it? She asked, as though the idea was too surreal to process. J.D. Vance smiled slightly. I don't make promises I can't keep. You've got a gift, and I respect that. This will help. With that, he turned and walked away, leaving Emily standing in shock. The crowd around her had grown quiet, watching the exchange unfold. Whispers spread through the street. Did J.D. Vance just buy a painting from a homeless artist? But Emily was too overcome with emotion to notice. In that one moment, her world had shifted. The money she needed for her treatment was now in her hands. But more than that, the validation from J.D. Vance, someone who had achieved so much, felt like a sign that she wasn't invisible. Her struggle was not in vain. The next day, as she made her way to her chemotherapy appointment, Emily couldn't help but feel a sense of hope she hadn't had in months. The pain from the treatments was still there, but so was the strength to continue. J.D. Vance's gesture had ignited something within her, a fire to keep fighting. As she walked into the clinic, Emily thought about how unpredictable life could be. Sometimes you didn't have to wait for success to come to you. Sometimes all you needed was a moment of courage and the right person to recognize your worth. And for Emily Carter, that moment came when J.D. Vance walked by her art stand. Emily's story reminds us that even in the toughest times, acts of kindness and understanding can make all the difference. If you were inspired by Emily's resilience and J.D. Vance's unexpected gesture, please like this video, share it with someone who needs a dose of hope, and comment below with your thoughts on the power of support and generosity. Don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories that show how small acts can change lives.